when we think of soccer, especially in the United States, is internationally, we can't compete. You know, overall, obviously, there's tons of great athletes in the U.S., but, you know, when you talk about all the mega stars, the superstars, they're all international players.
In England, you have the professional teams and you have academies. And so if you're any good, you get picked up by an academy, facilities and everything's organised. That's where you're practicing 2-3 times a week. But your high school is literally, you just, you know, you don't train.
Welcome back to another episode of Small Town Famous. I'm really excited about this next guest, you know, just being able to, you know, see his journey over the last few years that I've personally known him and, you know, where he's at today with his business. We have Carl Ashley, the owner of Become Elite Soccer, here today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We've known each other for a while, you know, met at the gym and, you know, just seeing, you know, the type of work ethic you have and, you know, the passion that you have and, you know, you're able to, you know, start up your own business. For everyone that doesn't know, can you tell us what Become Elite Soccer is?
Yeah, so Become Elite Soccer, it started with just me doing private lessons, and then that grew to doing classes as well, and then it grew. We got enough to start off a little club. So we started 3.5 years ago, just when COVID hit, thinking we'd have like 1 or 2 teams, and we ended up with 9 teams in our first year. And like, oh, wow. And then we've grown, you know, since then. So we're 3.5 years in. We're a soccer club that's, you know, unique to, you know, it's a unique situation in comparison to other soccer clubs. We have a different philosophy. We only practice 1 day a week. You know, we want them to do other sports and we want them to play with their community team as well. So club sports often take from the community sides, like your local teams in Windham, in Salem, your local teams, because they have to train so many days a week and it costs so much money. So we only practice 1 day a week. So hopefully they have enough time to play with their community side as well. And we try and be as cheap as we possibly can as well. But of course there are obviously fees like field space and paying coaches. Of course.
I mean, it's your business. You're going to make some money.
So we're trying.
Yeah, no, I like that point. So, like, you know, kind of just talk about your philosophy. You're saying you don't want to take away from, you know, the kids playing with, you know, with their school team or anything like that. Because sometimes you see with these travel teams, it's like they're completely booked up the whole weekend. And it almost could be like an added stress, you know, to families was that by design or like, I know you kind of mentioned that's part of your philosophy.
Yeah, so I've been here since 2012 full time in America and 2010 on and off. You know, I did some summer camps before then. So in that time, I've been noticing, I've been, you know, observing and you know, seeing a lot of good that club soccer do, but a lot of bad as well, and taking my personal experiences. So when we started our own club, you know, I've tried to keep the good and take out the bad. And one of the bad was, you know, they're practicing too many days a week that they can't do other sports. Or the community sides. So your local travel team, your local teams, so you're from Windham, so I'll use Windham as an example. Like the Windham teams, what happens is in soccer, when they get to U13, they transition to 11v11, which means 11 players on the field. And so you need a bigger squad. You know, you probably need a squad of minimum 15, 16, sometimes a bit more. But by that age, you've probably realized that, you know, soccer, you know, you love soccer and whatnot. And what there's so many clubs about that you've been picked up. You're going to go play club soccer. You're going to get better training. You're going to be on a better team. But what that happens is it waters down the town soccer level, the local level, because now they struggle to have enough players to even be able to form a team when they get to that age. And so in a few years' time, what happens more often than not is they don't have a team. And so they're forced to give up soccer. You know, they might not be die-hard soccer, love it to be practicing 3-4 times a week or to be paying thousands of dollars on it. They might not be able to afford to, or they might be playing other sports, but they're still pretty good at soccer. They want to continue, but unfortunately they don't have a team. So they take up another sport. But then when they get to high school, what age do you get to high school? 16?
14 maybe, like freshman year.
So now when you get into high school a couple of years down the line, you've been playing soccer up until you're U13, but you've not touched a ball for 2-3 years. But all of a sudden, the high school need enough players. So now you're on the high school team.
Yeah.
But you haven't kicked a ball. You haven't been coached.
It's not a good product.
Yeah, it's not a good product. So you have the kids that have gone to club soccer and they're playing and practicing. They're doing really well. And then you have a big drop off here.
Yeah.
And then that's what ruins like the high school, product, exactly what you said, because it's impossible for that team to really do well.
Yeah.
When there's that much of a difference. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to, keep them playing in their town soccer so they have enough players, so they're still getting coached. So the weaker players, or the ones that don't want to commit to full time, they're still getting coached and they're still touching a ball. So now that level isn't dropped off as much. And of course, you're playing in your town and they're your school friends. They're the ones that you're going to be playing high school soccer with. Yeah. So what we're trying to do is improve the level of high school soccer in our local communities, because when I go and watch high school, semi-finals or playoff games, it's an amazing experience. I go and see it, it gives me goosebumps, because you have two full schools watching. Everyone in your school's coming to watch. So there's thousands of people watching. You do the national anthem, you turn and face the flag, and you do that, and it's very patriotic. The media will be there and interviewing players after the game and getting pictures and all that kind of stuff. It's as close to being a professional athlete as, if not better than being, some low-end professional athlete. So it's an amazing experience. So coming from England, you're lucky if you get a man and a dog to watch a high school game. So,
Really?
Oh, yeah. No one will come and watch, because games would probably be straight after school. Your parents will be working and whatnot.
So the kids that were going to the academies and professional, that's what was super popular. Is that where everyone's going to watch games?
Yeah. I mean, you get a good following for those games, but this is like, youth level. And I think also because you play so often, you're on so many teams that, your school team probably takes a back door.
There's so much of it.
Yeah, but it's like, midweek as well. Like people are busy, people are at work. At the weekend, you'll get more of a following.
I got you. So I mean, so now that we're talking about back home, like when did you fall in love with soccer? Give us your soccer story.
So I've always, since I can remember, been kicking. There's pictures of me at 2 and 3 just kicking a balloon around and trying to score goals. So I've always, just loved soccer, because it's, since I can remember, like fell in love with it. And that's all I wanted to do. That's all I wanted to be, was a professional soccer player. And up to a certain age, I didn't see, anything else but to be a professional soccer player. I didn't see me failing. I had this like unique, you were
locked in.
I was locked in, and I was always, really good. I was fast. I was skillful. I was always the best player up to a certain age. Probably under 11s, which is early. My friends laugh at me because, I say I peaked at my peak was when I was 10 and 11, which unfortunately is true. But I was really, really good up until that point, and I had this unique. Well, you'll probably know it through your football days. Not arrogance, but inside. That
you got a desire,
Well, that you're the best player, and so all you can see, any field that I've ever been on, I've always been up there with the best, or up to that age anyway. And so you see nothing else, but you becoming a professional. How can you not?
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
then. I played for my local side, which you'd call your travel side here. Yep. I got picked up there by a local professional team, which is Bury, which is the local town that I grew up in.
Yeah.
They had a professional team, so I'd play for their School of Excellence. I was captain of that. And then from there, I got picked up by a Premiership team, which was Blackburn Rovers, who were doing...
And what age is this?
This is I'd done 2 years at Bury, from under 9s to under 10s, and then under 11s I went to Blackburn. And so that's a big step up. This is an academy now, and they've got amazing facilities.
Wow. At
the time was unknown of back then. So, we had the best. It was the best academy and the newest one at the time. So, we're just blown away with the facilities. There was a pool. There was, 3G fields, the turf fields when it was just first coming in. Because we're used to playing on AstroTurf in England. You don't have it here, but it was
some places still got it. It's playing on
just
carpet.
Concrete with salt and sand. You fall over and it stinks like hell, high hell. So we were on this 3G turf with nice, rubber, you know how it is, but you never knew of anything like that. So, you know, running track around the field, indoor, outdoor, just amazing facilities. But yeah, that was like a higher level. And you know, in England, you're like a professional at that age. So you're on a contract even at that age.
That's
you know,
wild.
People are getting paid. People are getting, you know, buying players from other teams, even though you're not
even at 10, 11 years old.
You're not technically allowed to because you can't pay them. But what they do is like they give me money for travel expenses.
Yeah.
So that, you know, I was picking up £20 a week at that age every single week.
You get a nice package.
And a little brat. And other people, better players, were getting more.
Yeah.
And you know, you hear stories in some clubs that they're buying, they're buying parents' houses. Wow. You know, because it's worth it for them. Because if they make it and they sell them for, I mean, people are going for 100 million plus now. And, you know, if they pick them up for nothing, it's worth it for them, you know?
So, I mean, because when you join one of these academies, they essentially have your rights.
You sign to them. Player. You can't play for another professional team. You sign to them, and, you know, a certain age, you can only sign 1 year. And then when you get to teenager, I think you can sign 2 and 3 year contracts. And
so it's a big business. So they're taking you, they're seeing who the next group of talent is and trying to develop them because they're worth something, you know. If
they make it all the way, they're worth you know, millions and millions. Wow. So if anyone gets through, you know, that's their biggest money maker, really. Like lower teams, if they can develop a player that makes it all the way through, and then a big club with a lot of money, you know, want to pick up young talent, they'll pay a lot of money, like millions of pounds and dollars for them. So it's certainly worth it.
Pretty cool. I mean, it's definitely different. I mean, I'm sure there's a little bit of that going on in the U.S., but like just for that to be like how it is, you know, it's pretty amazing. So as you progress, you know, through the academy, high school, did you play post high school? Was there any?
So in England, you at 16 when you finish high school, at 16. That's when you do your GCSEs, which are your exams. You're pretty much an adult there, so you're allowed to you know, get a full-time job. You can leave home. You're an adult. You know, so at 16 is really when you get your professional contract. Which is so young, you know, because I mean, for myself in particular, I was still tiny. I was a late developer. I only grew, you know, at 17, 18, but I was always really small. And so, you know, I got released. I'm not saying because of my height, you know, I probably wasn't good enough. Then I went to another club, Oldham Athletic, a little bit lower down. And that was my final year. Basically, it's like a scholarship, professional scholarship, where you'll go on for 2 years. And I didn't get that scholarship. So from there, you know, that's all I'd known was football. So,
I mean, you're heartbroken.
You're heartbroken. It's, you know, to the fact that my parents didn't even tell me because I had my big exams coming up, so they didn't want that to affect me. So what happened was I was actually playing for my high school. And I was doing really well at Oldham, the club I was in. And you'd have constant meetings with the coaches, you know, especially in that final year, like every month. Reviews to see, you know, to basically let you know how you're doing, what your chances are.
Scouting.
And so my last meeting was really positive. The manager was a new coach in this last season. You know, you talk about you need a lot of luck to make it, which I 100% agree. You got to be good, you got to be talented, but you got to have a lot of luck along the way. So in my last season, I'm at Oldham Athletic. They didn't have as much money, they didn't have the resources, and so they went through. In that last season, we went through 4 coaches, like 4 different coaches in 1 year.
That's gotta be tough.
And each coach sees something different. So, but the last coach, he loved me. And, you know, he basically told my mum, you know, he's going to make money out of soccer. The parent meeting, I remember, he's going to make money out of football, soccer, as you call it here. And, you know, just keep doing, he's fine. So basically saying, wink, wink,
you're going
to get the contract.
I
played for my high school team. A couple of weeks later, broke my wrist pretty badly, had to have an operation. So that wiped me out till the end of the season. During that time, my manager moved on. He got offered a job in Manchester City.
Wow.
And so he took that. And so a new manager's come in. He's not even seen me. And we've got a letter through the door which, like I say, my parents didn't tell me until it was time to go back, and basically saying I've been released.
Yeah.
And, but I still had my exams to do.
Yeah. They wanted you to focus. I mean, they wanted you to finish school.
They wanted me to finish the school and whatnot. And then I always played cricket as well. I still play cricket in US, which cricket is like the American baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And so that happens in the summer. So football season will be fall, winter, spring, and then cricket will be summer.
Yeah.
So when I'm coming to the end of the football season, I'm ready for cricket because I love cricket too. So it wasn't until the end of cricket when it starts to come round to football season. I'm like, okay, Dad, what nights am I training this? What nights are we training? When's it start? And that's when they told me. So this is late in the season, August. I had the full summer basically. So after that, I stopped playing, because I was burnt out.
Yeah,
I was burnt out. I'd been playing. I'd been competing.
You put a lot of pressure on yourself.
Yeah,
it's you just always want to be perfect. You always and like that could bog you down. When especially when you think you're right on the cusp of something big, and like I understand why your parents did what you did because there's from their point of view there's more to life than just football, more than life to just soccer. So
well, I was very lucky in that regard. My parents were teachers.
Mm-hmm.
My whole family's been teachers. My dad's a head teacher, my granddad's a head teacher, my dad's brother's a head teacher, both my grandma was a head teacher, my mum was a teacher.
Wow.
So education always came first. So I was very lucky. So that's when I didn't get my contract. I could continue my education where you go to college, which is 2 years in England. So 16 to 18. I just played for the college team just for fun with my friends. For the love of the game. Yeah. And then I went to university at 18. Mm-hmm. The first year I was actually injured. I tore my calf in a preseason game with my local team. I was out for 10 weeks, which is quite a long time for a muscle injury. So every Saturday I'd go home. I'd go home because I was only 45 minutes away. Yeah. Which is a long way in England, but here it's nothing, And so I'd drive home. I'd get my washing done. I'd play for my local men's team on a Saturday. Pick up a load of groceries and fill the fridge, and then I'd go back to university for the week. But the second year, I wanted to join the team, so that's when I joined the university team, or tried out for the university team. And Graham Potter, who was just Chelsea's manager.
Oh wow!
And so he's gone all the way into the Premier League, and he was our manager.
Yeah.
So I'm lucky to get good coaching. He was one of the managers there, and played a bit of semi-professional there.
Yeah.
So semi-professional is probably that's the highest level I've played at. Yeah. When you've been working on something with either a specific kid or team, and it doesn't come off right away, but a few weeks down the line, you can see it. You can see it unfold in front of your eyes. That's what gives me the passion to keep going. Just seeing somebody do something that they couldn't do, and now they're trying to do it. I call it being coachable.
Absolutely.
The best players are the ones that are coachable, that listen and they try to do what you're asking them to do. Whereas a lot of kids,
a little resistant.
Same one out here and it's out the other. Yeah, they'll nod and smile, but if not registered. But the ones that try and do it, whether they can do it or not, you can see them try and make that pass. Or if you're telling them, to look up before you pass, and you see them look up, but they might lose the ball because they've looked up. It took them a little time. Yeah, that's great because you made progression. You can see them. That's good. Now we've just got to do it a bit quicker. Yeah, and that will come, with more practice. So.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, that's usually the tough part when it comes to business. Is like you may have a great idea and you would be a really great coach, but like to be able to organize, get the systems right, and back end paperwork. A lot of people don't even realize how difficult that actually is.
Oh yeah, so everyone thinks that you've got the best job in the world. All you do is coach. What do you do? What do you do the rest of the day? And I'm like, I barely coach at the minute, especially in the winter. I'm just in the office. Yeah. Just doing payroll and all the taxes and all that kind of stuff. It's grinding. It's not fun. Most of it, it's not fun. I wish I was on the field. That's all I had to worry about. Yeah. But you got to get the kids in the door, and that happens behind the desk.
Behind the scenes, the marketing,
yeah.
all that other stuff. So
yeah,
that's incredible to go from where you came from and some of the experiences that you had coming over to the U.S. Then you almost kind of like the way your circumstances that you almost had no control over, allowed you to have an opportunity that's probably been in your head for a long time. And it was just like, you know what, let's go, let's do it.
Yeah.
And now we got become elite.
Yeah. Well, there's always in whenever something's not going right or wrong, there's opportunity.
Yeah.
And you got two ways of looking at it. Get your head down and this, be negative. This sucks. Blah 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 blah. Or okay, everyone's off school. No one's at work. These kids might want training.
Yeah.
They've got to be active. That's good for the mind and body. Let's promote that. And so I got really busy to a point that I couldn't do it on my own. I needed somebody else.
Yeah.
So for me, COVID, was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, you know what? A lot of great businesses came up because of COVID, because you had to adjust.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, if you couldn't adjust, a lot of businesses, ended up closing their doors. But COVID also taught us a lot of things, like with technology. I mean, there's so many technology, based businesses and, certain adjustments made from it. It, for some businesses, it made them even stronger. And, for you to come up during that, knowing the situation that the whole world, I mean, we almost forget that this is a global pandemic.
Yeah.
But it made everyone adjust. And to your point is you could either sit there and, take it on the chin, or you can adjust, for the better. And, that obviously that's what you're able to do.
Yeah. Well, like you say, the best businesses, the doors were probably shut, but the ones that have come through it and survived and got better, they weren't, sat on the couch drinking and, we're off, we're getting paid. This is great. They're like, okay, how do we overcome this?
Exactly.
What can we do, to keep, we met at Drive Custom Fit. We can give those guys a shout out. But I remember Tony and Jake, the gym shop. Well, I was actually working at Drive at the time. I taught the very last class before they shut the doors.
Before it got shut down?
Yeah, they literally, the very last class in there, I remember, and no one knew what was going to happen. I remember, Tony's eyes, like worry, fear, really.
because this is our business. This is our livelihood.
Can't believe it. But they started doing online training, doing posting videos and creating stuff so people could keep going, keep active. And that's become a huge thing now, like podcasts, for example.
Podcasts, social media. I mean, just to even with our own business, everything we do is online. Like we do social media, it's emails, it's podcasts, it's YouTube. It's we don't do a lot of traditional
face-to-face
cold call. I mean, we do a lot of face-to-face. Those go hand in hand, but it's people get to know us through our social media. They get to know us through our YouTube, get to know us through that. So when we do get face to face, it's almost like we know each other, or me, we, it's a completely different way of thinking about it. It's hard to teach passion. It's, when you're looking for talent, it's who's got the drive, who's got the passion, who's willing to do what other people aren't willing to do. The technical stuff could be taught. Yeah. And, that's definitely a great, way to staff, your business and, the type of culture that you guys have. Now that you guys are up and running, two questions, but I'll ask one. So what are some of the challenges that you're still facing today with the business? Obviously now going on 4 years. Yeah. What are some of the things that have been tough? Go ahead.
So the big one is the fields. Yeah. Having our own space, having our own fields has been not having our own, but just, every sport is dealing with this. Unfortunately, in our area, everyone's fighting over space, whether it be indoors for volleyball or for basketball and futsal, especially indoors because there's only a certain amount of facilities and a certain amount of space. Yeah. But outdoors as well. It's really tough, especially as an outside organization that is, it's for profit. It's a for-profit company. It's difficult to get on field. So we've been bumped around a little bit. So that's been a huge challenge.
Yeah.
But you're always going to have that challenge. I think we were talking before we came on air about, just last night we were double booked on our field, on the field, and these are challenges that happen constantly on a daily basis. You think everything's going really well.
Yeah.
And then it's time, 4:00. You've got all the kids in. You've got both fields packed to the rafters. You get on there, and there's another sport, flag footballer on there. And
what are you doing on my field?
Yeah,
bro?
what are you doing? We've had this for the last 4 months, and we got it for the next whatever. And so you've got to deal with that. The parents don't care what's going on. You've got to deal with that on the fly, and that's always a challenge.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's part of the business.
Like I said, everyone has challenges. Everyone goes through it, and especially field space is tough. I mean, it's only so many fields. Who owns it? The school, the state, whatever, and you got to deal with that. So no, I definitely hear you on that. So next question is, what's the future? What do you see this year, next year, 5 years? How big, or like what's the vision for the program?
So we're not trying to be the biggest program. Like I say, I'd be a hypocrite if I was saying, we want to grow to 1 million teams and have this area and everyone's gonna. But that's not the goal. The goal is we still want to grow. But I think our capacity, and I've said this, and I said this at the beginning with Eddie, we can't get greedy.
Yeah.
We want to keep the coaching level high. We want to keep the playing level high. We want to get better in terms of talent.
Yeah.
And we want to provide to the community. So the better our teams are, the more kids we're going to be pushing back to the community team. So that's going to strengthen their programs as well. Yeah. And in time, that's going to improve the level of high school soccer, which is our long-term goal. So don't get greedy. Don't try and take in too many teams. Yeah. I think last year we were at 21 teams, so we're down to 15 now. But we grew so big so quick. Now multiple factors. Like I say, it's impossible to keep the coaching level high. We had these teams, and then we've got to get them out, so they need a coach. And we're the coaches, all the coaches at the level that I wanted them to be at. Not yet, but we had no choice. I've employed some really, really good young coaches, but it takes time, it takes experience. And the only way they can get that is like I say, how I think, put them in the deep end and sink or swim. And now we're working with them, but they're a lot of our young coaches, they've improved so much. Yeah. But I think we grew too big too quick. We had issues with the fields last year. Which set us back, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Yeah, it happens. Like I say, it can get your head down, or it can be, use it to your advantage. Yeah. And now we're back up to 15 teams, which is a good place where we want to be right now. But the large goal, back to your question, is we only want to have 2 teams in. So for it to be completed, I would say, is have 2 teams in every age group, from U9, U10, U11, U12, U13, 14, 15, high school. So what's that, 8 teams? So times that by 2 is 16. Yeah. On the boys and girls side, so twice 20, 16. What's 32? That? 32. 32 teams would be, ideal. Our maximum, which I think is doable. It's not too big. We're not looking too big. We're only at 15, so we're not even halfway there. So there's a lot of hard work to go. We've always got that goal. I think you always need that goal to keep pushing. But that would be my goal, to get 32 teams, good players, good coaches, good families. Yeah. And not just do it once, but be able to recycle that and maintain that. Yeah.
And you mentioned, I just love your goal. Like with your business, it's not to take away from the community. Your goal is actually to give back and have the athletes get better while they're with you, and still be a part of the community teams and be a part of their travel. And this is just an addition to, like, we're gonna get better. I absolutely love.
I mean, the top players, the top players, they do need something more. They do need to be playing with better level players. They do need to be pushed, because you always need to be challenged. So if they're on a team, your local team, if you're a good player, it becomes too easy. It's fun to score 6 goals once or twice, but you need to be challenged as well. If you're scoring that regular, it's too easy. How do we get that push? So the goal is we take the best players from all our local areas and then we have that high level team. They're getting the high level coaching.
Yeah.
Those guys are getting what they need to. They're getting pushed. They're getting challenged. They're playing with those players, but just once a week, and then they can, still get 2 practices with the local team as well. So they get the best of both that way, and so in turn that's going to improve the level of our community teams who do the hardest work, because they get them in at the grassroots. They're the ones coaching them and having them fall in love with the game in the first place. So we need our local communities to thrive as well, and for them to thrive they need
support.
They need support. They need population.
That's awesome. Absolutely love what you're doing. Love business. I'm rooting for you. And I was telling you earlier, even with my own kids, this is, they're coming back. My youngest, I think you're gonna love her when she's in the program. She's always, because I mentioned to you earlier that like when Kyla's her first time around to any sport, it's a little rough. This is any case. We're talking about children. Yeah. But my youngest, she would like, I'm trying to do practice with my older kids, and they're like climbing on the net. Yeah. But my youngest, she's over there like actually doing the passes and the kicks and all that stuff. Now she's getting to that age.
Well, the youngest one's always the best. Always, because they see it. They have to go to the fields and they have to watch this practice, and they just want to get out there.
Oh, so bad.
And then they get to at home they're playing with the brothers and sisters 2-3 years older, so they're always the best. They're always the most competitive, and they have that hunger and they're chasing to be the best one.
For sure.
So we always want.
Yeah, I'm the youngest in my family, and the same thing. I was always competing with my brother, whether I tell him or not. In my head, I am. And, but like even my old Kyle, she's coming back to it. She read, Alex Morgan. She has this incredible series of books. I can't remember exactly what it is right now, but she's a big reader. Didn't get that from her dad. She definitely got that from my wife. But she like through that, you never know how kids are going to connect with something. But through that, she like fell in love with soccer, and we're gonna get her out on a field this spring. So like I said, I love what you guys are doing. Even for my own family, they're gonna jump into it. So
yeah, and you too. Like what you're doing with it's amazing. I see Kristen all over.
See her everywhere.
I mean, even where we work in the office is in the fan zone. Yeah, and she'll be there reading a book. Yeah, looking after your youngest. Yeah, whilst watching the gymnastics. Yeah, and I'm like, what are you doing? How have you got time to be doing this? I've just seen you sell 2 houses and do this podcast and do this video. I'm like, you're amazing, you guys. How much you juggle. Yeah, you're juggling so many. Being a parent, running a business, being a husband, and you seem to be around everywhere. So keep it up. It's inspiring.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Like I said, it's inspiring. To see you too. So, how we kind of what we're starting to do to wrap up each show is just some hot takes. It's just your opinion on some current matters. So, quick question. So, you being from, the UK, obviously it's football over there, soccer over here. Yeah. What do you prefer? Like when you think about it in your head, like, is it always football first?
Football, obviously, of course. But unfortunately, being here so long now, my vocabulary is soccer. Yeah. I say soccer and some other.
Does it like hurt coming out? Like you're like soccer.
Not so much anymore. It used to, but not, when I go home, like with my friends, and we'll be talking, and I'll say soccer, and they just like, and you're like, oh, so you quickly, it doesn't take long, a couple of days, and you quickly transition back.
Yeah, you gotta switch back and forth depending on.
But it does hurt when I if I'm on the phone to my dad or whoever it is back home, and I'll say soccer. I'm like,
They're like, what's the name of your company?
Yeah.
That's funny.
What do you think?
I played American football. Yeah. So in my mind, football is, tackling guys and.
But why is it called football though?
I have no clue. I had something. They used to kick more. Back in the day.
What came first, football or soccer? Do you know?
I would say 100%.
Soccer?
Yeah. soccer, or actual football. But
so they stole the name.
For sure. Yeah.
I mean, American football is rugby pretty much in England.
Yeah.
So, but that came from football, like the origins of rugby.
Yeah.
They were playing a giant game of football, soccer, and one guy just picked up the ball and started running with it, and that's how rugby got created.
Yeah, I mean, you even look at like old clips of American football. It was a very different game than what's played today. All right, so last couple things. Do you think, on a global scale, internationally, I mean, your Messi's, Ronaldo, like all these big international names. Do you think American soccer would ever be able to compete, or what would need to take place for American soccer to get to that same type of level, or is it,
It's a long one, and I know you don't have much time. I mean, they're trying with Messi and coming over like into Miami. David Beckham owns that club, that franchise, and he's pretty much bought Barcelona in their peak. So there's 4 or 5. I think there's Messi, there's Busquets, there's there's 4 or 5 players there who played at the top level, who are coming over. So it's definitely going to help the game.
Trying to make it more popular.
It's going to make it more popular. You can't get a ticket for any Messi anytime to Miami play. You can't get a ticket for it because it's sold out just because of his name. So that's certainly going to help. But I think long term, because it's been done before. Beckham himself came over. Pele came and played in America. That model's been done before. I think they need to change the actual model of the MLS, where it's American. It's the American model where you finish last, you get the first draft, to keep it fair and whatever. Whereas in Europe, everything's promotion relegation. You finish last, you go down, which is a big thing for the club. They're going, they're going to lose a lot of money. You're going to lose your best players. It's going to be difficult to get back up. But if you finish top, you get rewarded. And when you get that competition, you get eyes on it, because every game means something, especially, so people, when there's eyes on it, there's sponsorship. Where there's sponsorship, there's money. And so the money is going to bring in more better players, stronger players, and it's going to get more eyes, and it just grows like that. So I think they've got to change the model to promotion, relegation, and then you're going to see more eyes, more sponsorship, and that's how you're going to get closer to it.
And do you think it's because there's in terms of obviously that's on the professional level? Do you think maybe if there wasn't American football, there'd be a lot more guys like on the soccer field or anything like that? I
think why we're so good in Europe in comparison. It's just like why America's so good at basketball in comparison, because people are playing on the streets. You can get a game of pickup wherever you go. Whereas in this country, soccer especially, you're not going to find a game of pickup. Like, we actually offer pickup on a Sunday, street soccer, to try and promote it, but you have to pay for it, because we've got to pay for the fields and whatnot. But I learned just playing in the street non-stop, playing with bigger, stronger. Whoever was there, you'd make up a game, you do whatever. If this kid's 7 years older than you, you're still playing, and it's not like the 14-year-old would turn the nose up at an 8-year-old. They come play. We need the bodies.
Yeah, we just want to play. We're out.
Whereas here, they're like, I've intimidated or scared because they're young, or the older guys I'm not playing with. It's just different. But I think you've got to get that, just playing for the masses, playing for free, to get to the level.
And I think kind of to tie it all back together, what you're doing is incredible, because you're encouraging athletes to play other sports. And ultimately, that's going to develop them better as an athlete, and when they're with you, they're going to sharpen their skills, go back and maybe play basketball, go back to their travel team. So I think
it helps. It helps them in our sport. A skier is got such core strength, and ice hockey players are always so aggressive. Wrestlers are strong and physical. Basketball players, they're agile, and it's a similar sport. So it helps them in our sport, and then vice versa. Soccer's going to help them in the other sport, because a lot of them are the same tactics, the same understanding.
The footwork. So I with this. We when I was at UConn, we actually had a very, very good soccer program, and we had an indoor football facility. Obviously during the winter we would share with with other teams. And we had like a little speed ladder out there. And like football, I don't know if you see me in the gym, I'm always doing it. But we'd always do that. Then some of the soccer guys came in. They're like, oh, like, you know, what is this, whatever. The footwork that some of these guys had and how fast and how quick and coordinated I was seeing them do these drills. My mind was blown. Yeah. Just some of the skill and the athleticism of some of these athletes. So absolutely incredible.
Another thing is, again, obviously, like I say, I got released at 16. Yeah. Whereas in this country, it's a different system where you go to college. Yeah. And what age do you get out of college? Like 22?
22, yeah.
You're 22, 23, and then you're getting drafted into the professional setup. Yeah. Whereas in England, you know, Wayne Rooney, have you heard of Wayne?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Wayne Rooney, he was playing in the Premiership at 16, scoring goals. Yeah. So that's 6 years playing at the top level.
Develop,
you know, playing with the best, you're only going to get better and playing at that level that they lose. So it's really impossible for these guys to make up that 6 years. Yeah. You know, by the time they've done that, they're what, 28, 29, and you're past your peak. You know, you're looking for younger talent. So
absolutely,
they need to change that model as well in terms of the college, you know, academies and make it professional. But they're only going to do that when there's money in the game. So it comes back to, you know, that promotion, relegation, I think, and the sponsorship.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an honor having you on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Learning more about your business and, you know, the opportunity you're presenting to the community. Like I said, I've always admired you, your work ethic, and everything you're doing. And, you know, we're definitely rooting for you guys. And, you know, we're going to have a couple Reyes up, you know, in the program.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah. We've got to get them in.
Absolutely. So, hey, man, thanks for coming out.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thanks so much.
Yeah, for sure.